These dogs serve right on the front lines. They face the exact same dangers as their human partners. But when a law enforcement canine gets injured, well, that's when a whole different set of challenges kicks in. Okay, so let's dive into the new rules that are designed to give these four-legged officers a real fighting chance.
It's a really important question, right? And for the longest time, it just didn't have a clear answer. I mean, if a human officer is down, there's a clear protocol. It's an emergency, and everyone knows their job. But for a canine officer, the whole situation was kind of murky, both legally and medically. Today, we're going to explain how that's all finally starting to change.
So the rescue mission starts the second an injury happens, right there on the scene. And it takes some pretty specialized knowledge, because as you can imagine, saving a dog isn't quite the same as saving a person. First responders are trained to spot these critical warning signs, things like dilated pupils or being completely unresponsive. But the biggest clue, the one they really watch for, is that labored breathing, what's technically called dyspnea. And that one symptom points to a really fundamental difference in how dogs experience cardiac arrest compared to us.
And boom, here's that difference right here. For people, a lot of the time, the heart just stops first. That's the main event. But for dogs, it's usually the other way around. Their breathing fails first, and that's what leads to the cardiac arrest. Just knowing that one single fact completely flips the script on the emergency response, it makes the airway and breathing the absolute top priority. So, with that key difference in mind, how do you actually do CPR on a dog? Well, take a look at these numbers. If they're looking familiar, they should be. The rate of compressions, the depth, and that compression-to-breath ratio, it's all surprisingly close to the guidelines for human CPR.
And if there's one number to remember, it's this one: 30 compressions for every 2 rescue breaths. That 30-to-2 ratio, that's the rhythm of saving a life. It's like the standardized life-saving beat, doesn't matter if it's a human or a canine officer.
Of course, it's not always about the heart. For severe bleeding, the steps are, again, pretty direct and probably sound familiar. You put direct pressure on the wound, you use a dressing, and if the injury is on a leg, a tourniquet can be used to stop the bleed. The goal is simple, and it's urgent. Get that officer stable right there on the scene so they have a shot at getting to the vet. And that brings us to the next massive roadblock. You've managed to stabilize the canine on scene. So now what? Getting them to an emergency vet is a desperate race against the clock. This was always the big gray area. I mean, can you even put a dog in a human ambulance? Paramedics are licensed to treat people, and ambulances are for, well, human transport. For years, this legal confusion could cost a canine officer precious minutes that they just didn't have. But now, finally, there's a real solution. A specific law out of Arizona created a clear legal path for rescue and is completely changing the game for these officers. And you can see here, things move fast. The bill, SB 1068, passed in June of 2023 and was officially law by the start of 2024. A quick timeline like that really shows you how urgent and important lawmakers felt this issue was. So what's the law actually do? Well, it officially requires emergency medical services to transport an injured canine. And if they have the right training, they can even provide first aid. But, and this is the really critical part, it can only happen if a very specific set of conditions are met. Think of these conditions as the safety rails for the whole law. They make one thing crystal clear: human life always comes first. An ambulance can only be used for a canine if no person needs it, if another ambulance is available for people, and if it's actually the safest and fastest option. It's a really smart, practical solution that prioritizes everyone's safety. So, what does this all add up to? You've got new first aid protocols and new laws. These aren't just small changes. They represent a huge shift in how we think about these working animals. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. By creating these specific medical and transport rules, the system is basically saying, out loud, that these canines aren't just gear. They're partners. They're officers. So here's the bottom line. For the first time, we have a real, dedicated, and legal system to save them. From CPR on the scene to a legally protected ambulance ride, an injured canine officer now has a much better chance of making it. A chance that's starting to look a lot more like the one their human handler gets. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've defined them as officers, we've built protocols to save them like officers. So as we continue to bring these animals into our most dangerous jobs, how is our responsibility to protect them going to keep evolving? It's a pretty big question that we're really only just starting to answer.